This is the story of Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, the most famous tale of monster mayhem ever, by Richard Brancy. Long millions of years ago, the northernmost part of Scotland was not part of Scotland, but there came a time when it crossed the sea and crashed into the rest. The prehistoric sea monsters all rushed to escape, except, the story goes, for one named Nessie. She was always a dreamy soft of monster. Luckily, when the two parts collided, they left a large gap. This is called Loch Ness or Loch Navisti, which is Gaelic for the lake of the monster. Loch Ness is so deep that you could stand 3 big bends in it and they would still not reach the top. The Statue of Liberty could dive in happily without any chance of her head hitting the bottom, and 5 jumbo jets could be placed wingtip to wingtip and still have room to loop the loop. Plenty loop for a monster. Here Nessie lived happily for a few million years, until 565 AD when a man called Saint Columba, who was busy converting of Scots of Christianity, shouted "Get back" from the bank. Nessie was surprised but paid no attention, and for 1,000 years or more she was left in peace to swim to in front of the loch. Occasionally she would also stroll amongst the hills. The monks of Saint Benedict's Abbey kept a careful record of sightings. The beautiful ochred castle was built beside the loch, but the people who lived there were far too busy fighting off attackers to have any time for monsters. Eventually they left and the castle fell into ruins. But then, in 1833, disaster struck. A road was built along the edge of the loch. The noise was frightful, and with crashing and banging and rocks splashing into the water all day long. After that came the traffic bumper to bumper. What was the monster to do? Everywhere Nessie went there were people. She tried to keep out of their way, but one day, while sneaking over the road for a week wander in the weather, she was stopped by Mr. and Miss George Spicer from London, England. And that was the end of Nessie's peaceful time. Newspapers all over the world were full of the story. A famous circus ringmaster offered £100,000 to anybody who could catch the monster for him. People poured into the Scottish Highlands. The new road beside the loch became even more crowded. Everybody claimed to have seen the monster. Some of them said it had a head like a sheep, others described a shaggy mane. Most thought it had a long neck, but did it have a tail? Was it as big as a house or only the size of a cow? A few brave souls came within a hair's breadth of catching it.
One day, a sergeant who was driving by the loch was startled to see Nessie. He took a photo. It did not come out very clearly, perhaps his hands were shaking at the time, but it is still the best photo of Nessie that anyone has yet taken. Whether the sergeant's hands were still shaking when he later removed and appended in Inverness is not known. Everybody wants to find out how Nessie came to be in thoughts, net and wit. She looked different to each person who sat her. Some people say that she came and went through mysterious tunnels connecting Loch Ness to the sea. They say there were other monsters too, They could explain with the water in the loch that ran away through the tunnel. Other people say that Nessie was simply the brute monster or a wolf family or were monster through the father was they did not care to say. A great expedition was organized. 20 men watched the loot for a whole month and one of them actually freed the monster. The film was rushed to London and showed to some famous zoologists. The zoologists pretend to know what Nessie was to they had a clue. People are still trying to find Nessie. One man went fishing for her beneath. His boat was found empty the next morning. He had vanished. Another man was nearly drowned and he tried to take a photo when Nessie came out under his canoe. Still another driver in a mini submarine taking photographs underwater. The men who searched on their hands glider was afraid the nose on an aeroplane might scare Nessie off. Some people would like to drain the loot so they can see the bottom. Other devices complicate trans which never cease to work. A group of scientists tried but fitted with sonar, with in what boats used to find insects. And there's one man who has scorched would add down the loot for 30 years or more. He did once catch and glitched or Nessie, but nobody has ever got close enough to Nessie to capture her. Could he that over the years she has grown to rather enjoy the game of hide and seek.